Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Karen and this is Karen's Knit Picks. So if you're new here, my name's Karen. I am a knitter and I started knitting in October of 2022, so I've been knitting for about 9 months now, and I created this channel to share my knitting journey, essentially. I really enjoy watching other knitting podcasts. I love seeing what everyone else is working on, so I thought this would be a really great place to share what I'm working on, my learning and knitting process as I, move through my first year of knitting and learn new skills, try new projects, and just in general enjoy the practice of knitting. So that is what I talk about on my channel. So if you want to see more of that or hear more of that, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. You can hit the notification bell to get notified when I post new videos, and you can also like and comment. I respond to all my comments, so feel free to leave any questions or any thoughts that you might be having. I'm happy to take a look at those. So I guess that's it for my, intro spiel. So I'm going to get started. And the first thing, actually, that I want to talk about is Christmas. And I know that it's July, but I have been thinking about Christmas and gift knitting and if I want to gift knit anything this year. Last year, my first year knitting, so I had like 2 months of experience last year for Christmas, and I decided I was going to make a couple of gift knits. So I made 2 hats and a blanket for Christmas to give away as gifts, and it was tough. The hats were pretty good, but they definitely took a lot longer to make than I thought. I guess last year, because I had just started, I thought that everything could be done in a couple of weeks, and that was so not the case. So I made 2 Oslo hats, one for my mom and one for my dad. Oslo hat by Petite Knit. I should have said that the first time. And yeah, I thought they turned out really nicely, and I was planning to make more hats. Actually, I wanted to make one for myself. I wanted to make one for my fiance, but I just cannot bring myself to make a hat. I feel like hats are so boring to knit, so I don't know if I want to make hats for Christmas, because I feel like it's gonna be so boring and I just have so many other projects that I would rather work on. But then it's if I don't make hats, then what do I make? So last year I also made a blanket, but I had not a terrible time making the blanket, but it took forever to finish this blanket. So I can't make blankets for everybody, and it just would be so much to make a blanket. So I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I feel like because it's July, I have 5 months until Christmas. This is the time that I should be thinking about my gift knitting. So I don't know. So that was a very roundabout way of saying that I'm thinking about Christmas gift knitting, and if you are planning to gift knit anything and you already know what you're gonna make, please let me know in the comments and leave me your suggestions on what I should consider making as gift knits for this year, because I want to gift knit, but I think I need a project that's going to be really enjoyable, so I have to find the right one. So if you have suggestions or you have anything that you think would be a really fun gift item to make, please let me know. I'm totally open to suggestions. So that is all for my intro. I guess we'll get into finished objects. I only have one today, so let's get into it. So my first and only finished object today is actually my Friday tee that I'm wearing. So this is the Friday tee by Petite Knit. It is really cute and a super easy t-shirt pattern to make. I had a lot of firsts, I think, with this project, and I think it turned out really nicely. So first things first, I really like the pattern. I really like the construction. The fit, I think, is really nice. So I knit a size small, and I used the baby cotton from Hobby in the color light cotton. I actually have my notes open this time so I can give you the correct information and not just my guesses at what I'm talking about. So I'm trying to be better. So I think I bought like 5 or 6 balls of this yarn, and I used every last drop. I actually had to go into my swatch that I had made for this to make sure that I had enough because I was running out. And I made a couple of adjustments to the pattern. So I shortened the sleeves by about 4 centimeters. They should come down to about here. But good thing I didn't, because I ran out of yarn. I also made the body a little bit shorter because, for the same reason, I ran out of yarn. So good thing I didn't do those things because I would have had to go back and buy another ball of yarn. But it's fine. I actually really like the way that it turned out. My gauge was fine when I did my swatch, but now wearing it, I do feel like because I use cotton, the body is really wide compared to, I keep standing up and sitting down, but I feel like it's easier to show you. I feel like the body is wide and like it's really nice and flowy, but I feel like the body is not like super flattering. So I think in the future, if I was going to make this project again, I would probably use like a cotton merino instead, or something with merino, just so that the fabric has a little bit more memory, as people say, because the cotton just is like very nice and light and drapey, but I think this is a project that kind of needs a little bit more shape because it has like the structured pattern. So that is probably one thing that I would change, but I think everything else is great. I love working in the round. I like the shape of the collar, how it's not too tight. I actually even like that it's double folded. Sometimes I feel iffy about double folded collars, but this one I really like. I love the raglan fit. I've never knit a raglan before, so I wasn't sure if I would like the way that it looks on me, but I think it's actually really nice. And and I had never knit anything in broken rib prior to this, so that was really enjoyable. It was a really easy like mindless knit for me, so because I don't really have any stockinette in the round projects at the moment, this was kind of like my mindless knit over the last couple of months, and it was really, really nice to work on. So I'm really glad that I had it. And excuse me, my voice is going out because I have been sick this whole week. For like 2 or 3 weeks now I've been sick, and I have an ear infection, and I've been like coughing all over the place. So Sorry if my voice sounds funny. That's why. But yeah, I've talked a lot about this project in some of my previous episodes about my process, so this one I really enjoyed. I would absolutely make it again, and I think I would just choose a different fiber to make it out of. And I would probably also make it in a different color, like a neutral color, and I might even do the stripes next time because I didn't want to make a striped t-shirt, but I think next time I would. So that is my feedback on the Friday tee. I really enjoyed it and I would definitely make it again, just not in 100% cotton. So if you want to see more information about the process, I'll link some of my previous podcast episodes over here and in the description below, and that's all. So I am gonna go and move on to my whips because I have quite a few and I have a lot of progress on them, so I'm really happy and excited to share those with you. So the next project on my list is my sweater number 18. It looks so good. So good. So I finished the body and I picked up for the first sleeve already. I only just started it because I was traveling last week and I knew that if I didn't pick up for the body before I left, I might never pick this project up again. So I've only done a little bit of work on it, but we are getting there. But I am really, really happy that the body is done. It was like so pleasant, such an addicting knit. I feel like the structured pattern of it makes it really, really exciting to work on it. I loved, I had a lot of the pattern memorized pretty much by the time I finished, but it was really fun to get to the next section almost. It was also a lot of fun to know that I only had a certain number of rows left to do, and it was great to see exactly how many rows I actually completed. So I really, really am enjoying this project. I, number one, love reading a knitting chart right now. I just feel like I can move so much faster. I feel like I understand them really well now, so I'm really enjoying working from the chart on this project, and I cannot wait to keep learning and trying new things with my knitting, which I will talk a little bit more about some of those other skills that I want to learn later on in the video. But this one was such a big learning experience for me, and I'm so glad that I decided to just go for it and start working on this project, because I think after I had made my couple of novice cardigans, I felt like I really had a good understanding, and I just wasn't challenging myself enough. So I decided that I have a couple of skills that I want to learn for the rest of the year, and so this was a project that helped me do that. It didn't have too many super technical skills, there wasn't any short rows. The construction is pretty straightforward. It's just a pretty standard drop shoulder construction, but the structure of it makes it look like it's a lot more interesting, and I think it really scared me, honestly, before I started it. So I am so glad that I took this on and decided to work on it, because I think it really turned out so nicely, and I'm so excited to finish this and have it ready to go in the winter when I can start wearing it. So I have, just my 2 sleeves and the collar left now, and it's going so well. I'm really excited. I cannot wait to keep working on this. and finish it. So about the actual project, it's knit in Knitting for Olive Happy Merino and the Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair, both in the color Marzipan, and it's knit on 5mm needles. I'm making a size small, which is my normal size that I usually make when I'm knitting something for myself, and it feels good right now. I tried it on before I picked up for the sleeve, and I think the length was great, the width was great. It's a little bit oversized, but it's not too bulky. The only thing I think, when I block it, I think I might stretch the ribbing on the bottom just so the fit is a little bit more boxy and it doesn't quite stay a tight rib. That's the only other thing. I think other than that, I think the fit will be really great. I'm so excited to have a structured knit. I'm getting very excited about structured knits, which you will see in my next couple of projects and some of my summer knitting plans that I have coming up. You'll see that I have a lot of structured knits coming up in my life. So yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this. I've talked about it quite a few, maybe not quite a few times, maybe just once up to this point, but overall, I mean, it's a great knit, really great pattern, super easy to follow, and I am very excited to keep working on it and have it finished. Hopefully the next time we talk I will have a new sweater to share. So yeah, that's all for this one, and then I actually have 2 more whips to share, so I'm gonna jump into those because I have a little bit more to say about them. So I've been doing a lot of knitting this month. I feel like I've gotten more knitting done this month than I have like in the entire 9 months that I've been knitting, basically. So the next whip that I want to share is my Scallop Jacket from Strikke Kaffe, who is, I always say that she's Danish, but I actually think that she is Norwegian. So this is just a cardigan. It looks so teeny, but it's knit in 2x2 rib, so that's why it looks so teeny. Once it gets blocked, it's gonna stretch out really beautifully. And it looks so good. I'm so excited about this. So this is a raglan construction cardigan knit in 2x2 rib. It has like, I think only 1 to 2 inches of positive ease, so it's not oversized at all. It's really nice, close fit cardigan, and I'm so excited. I'm really enjoying working on this right now. I think number 1, it's going to be a great piece to have in my wardrobe, and number 2, I really like the pattern. I really like the way she writes everything. I find it very easy to understand, and it's very straightforward. So I'm enjoying working on this. I also really like the yarn that I'm using. That I think has made the experience really, really nice. So I'll talk about that for a second. So I'm holding 3 balls of yarn because I wanted to, I guess, make sure that this was a really great functional piece as well as like a nice fashion piece. So I started off knitting it in 1 strand of alpaca silk and alpaca lace from Hobby, and I felt like the gauge was fine, but it had a little bit of like airiness to it, so I feel like I didn't love the fabric even though I'm at gauge. So what I decided to do is add a strand of the Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair. I forget to say the color every time. So this is in the color Rainy Day. This is in Georgia Asphalt, and this is the color Dark Gray for the alpaca lace. And I really love the like fabric that they make all together. It's really nice and soft. It's super squishy because of the ribbing, and I think it's gonna be a really nice, actually warm cardigan to have in my wardrobe. So I am very excited about it. I'm knitting a size small, and it's knit on 4mm needles, and I actually just split for the sleeves now. So it was a long struggle to get to this point on this thing. Not a struggle, I guess, but it definitely felt like it took forever, because I do like the look of raglan increases, but my goodness, it takes forever to knit raglan increases. It's just, oh, there's so much. Yeah, it's just tough doing the raglan increases, but now that they're done and I'm working on the body, such a great piece to work on. I'm really enjoying it, and I cannot wait to have this in my wardrobe. I think it's going to be a piece that I reach for really often, because in my regular life, when either, I work from home majority of the time, but also when I'm just going out like for dinner or drinks or anything, or even just like to go run errands, I love to throw on a cardigan, and so over like a t-shirt or a tank top, whatever the case is. So this is going to be a piece that gets a ton of use in my wardrobe. So I'm very, very, very excited to finish this up. I have a bit to go. I really only just split for the sleeve, so I've got quite a bit of length to knit on, and then do the sleeves, and then I think it has a button band also. I cannot remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure there's a button band, and then it'll be done. So it's great so far. I definitely recommend this project, and I also am already thinking of the other projects that I want to knit from Strick-A-Cuff, because I really like the pieces that she makes, that she designs. I think they are just really nice. I think she writes the patterns really well, and she has, I guess, an interesting structure to them. So she is definitely a knitwear designer that I am looking forward to working on more projects from. So that's pretty much it. This project I've talked about a little bit before in some of my other podcasts, so and at least in my last podcast, so I have shared a good amount of information on this one. So if you have any questions about that, you can always look there, or you can leave a comment. I'm happy to answer. But yeah, this one I'm really excited. It's coming along so nicely, and I cannot wait to get some use out of this. So the next project in my queue is the Marseille Sweater by Petite Knit. So this, I think, is the first time I'm sharing it on my channel, but I've been working on it for a couple of weeks, a little bit less than a month, maybe about a month now. And this is where I am at. So I finished the back yoke, I did the shoulders, and I just joined for the front yoke. So I'm making progress slowly but surely. This is honestly turning out really nicely. I'm very excited about it. I mentioned this, I think, in my spring knitting plans, and so I'm very happy that I finally was able to cast it on. I cast it on like right at the end of May, maybe, so, or maybe at the end of June, so that it could still count as my spring knitting plans. And this has been a great project so far. It's been a lot of learning opportunities on this one for me. So a couple of things is, well, let's talk about the project. So for the pattern, so it's the Marseille Sweater by Petite Knit. It's just a drop shoulder striped sweater, and I am knitting a size small. It's knit on 4mm needles, and I'm using cotton yarn for this project. The recommended yarn is, I think, Sandnes Garden Sunday, or Double Sunday maybe. It's just merino yarn is the recommended yarn. So this is Paint Box Yarns Cotton DK, and this color, the white, is my base. It's called like champagne white or something like that. And then I'm doing my stripes, my body stripes in this navy blue color, and then my sleeve stripes will be like, I have a dark foresty green, I have a deeper kind of burgundy red, and then I have a mustard yellow to use for my sleeve stripes. I so far am enjoying it. I think that this is going to be a really nice lightweight summery sweater, spring sweater, because of the cotton. The only thing is that now, after making my Friday tee in cotton, I am concerned about, I guess, the longevity of this project, and like it's gonna stretch a lot probably, so that is the only thing I'm not sure about. I will probably just have to like really be smart and maybe try to add some elastic where I can to make sure it stays intact, but it's definitely going to end up being a really lightweight, oversized striped sweater for me. So I'm knitting a size small, I think I mentioned, and I met Gage when I did my swatch. I'm really excited about my color choices. The pattern has been very easy to follow, but there's definitely a lot of new techniques in this for me. So it starts off with a provisional cast on, which I've never done before. So I watched Petite Knit has videos on each of her patterns that explain how to do certain techniques that are used in the pattern. So I watched the video for Judy's Magic Cast On, which was super easy. I don't think I could like recreate it without watching the video because I only did it the one time, but doing it the one time was super easy. And so if you're not familiar, provisional cast on just allows you to have live stitches so that you can knit up and you can also knit down. And so your cast on edge basically is in the middle of your stitches. So in this case, the cast on edge is at the shoulder, the same as like a regular drop shoulder, but instead of picking up new stitches from the cast on edge, you just remove your stitch holder. So that was definitely a really big learning experience for me. I think in general it was fine, like actually doing the cast on was fine, but I feel like my tension was not great. It was really hard to keep the yarn taut like as I kept working through the rest of it. So some of the stitches at the end, like where I cut my yarn to move on to the next step, those stitches are really loose, and so I have holes there, but other than that it's fine, and I did enjoy it. I don't know that I want to do it for every single project, but for some projects I think it's fine, and I think it would work a lot nicer with like wool or merino wool, something that has a little bit more like structure to it instead of cotton, because the cotton is super slippery and just not super taut. So, but that's like that's a fiber choice that I made, so you know, but that's my 2 cents. The other thing is, this is my first time doing stripes, and so far so good. Obviously I think knitting flat it's pretty easy to do stripes, but I think once I get to the body and I'm working in the round, that will be pretty interesting for me, and making sure that there's, you know, it stays even. So, but I do think working on my sweater number 18 will have helped, because you know the texture is done as a stripe, so I know that she wrote in techniques to make sure that the stripes are as seamless as possible. So I think I would be using the same techniques for this, and Petite Knit also has videos on how to do the stripes in the round so that they become as seamless as possible. So I think that will be fine. The only other techniques, it's not a new technique, I guess, but I definitely feel like I have mostly mastered it or tried to master it, is the short rows. So the shoulders and the back panel have short rows, and I've done short rows before, but the cotton definitely makes them a lot more obvious. So I feel like my short rows look really like holy. They have a lot of holes in them where I turned. So I'm not going to fix it, but it's definitely pretty obvious. So yeah, I just, they look really obvious. So I think it's just a lesson for next time. I'm definitely not going to redo it, but I know that I have to make a bigger effort to do, like, you know, use the technique to make sure that there's not such obvious holes, and do a proper turning technique instead of just turning. So I think that's a big lesson that I've learned in this, definitely. And then on the other side of it, the provisional cast on, because it's live stitches on one shoulder, it's like very holy because I didn't do the proper technique. And then on the other side, it's like knit the wrong way, so you pick up the stitches on the opposite side that you do for the other shoulder. So on this side, the holes are not really there, but I have twisted stitches where I picked up. So it's just, these are not perfect provisional cast on shoulders, but it should be fine. I don't care personally, but it'll be definitely a good lesson for the future the next time I have to do a project like this, because it doesn't look the best, but it's okay. This is a sweater for me, and I don't mind having those mistakes on display. So other than that, I'm really happy with this, and I think it looks really, really great other than that. So I'm very excited to keep working on it, but it's just food for thought. Yeah, I mean, this so far is a really great project. I hate working stockinette flat. So this project in particular has been really difficult to pick up a lot of the time, but I'm so close now to getting in the round, so I'm very excited to do that. I just have to finish the front yoke that I just joined for, so I think it will be another couple of weeks, and then I'm hoping to finish this like probably within another month-ish or so, depending on when I finish the other two projects that I'm working on. But so far so good. I also want to point out that I found a better way to tension my yarn kind of in the middle of working on this project. So I previously had some issues with tensioning on my purl stitches, and so I would get a lot of uneven rows, and I think I found a way after working on my sweater number 18 where there's tons and tons of purl rows, and this one I've been doing a lot of purling in my projects lately, so I found a better way to tension my knitting, and I think it's made a huge difference, especially on, you know, using cotton yarn that shows every little bump and lump in your knitting. So I'm very excited that I figured that out, because now I think I'm gonna have a lot more professional looking knitting. So I'm really, really happy with this, and so I cannot wait to finish it. I think it's gonna be a really good, like, summery, in between season sweater to wear in the cotton. So I am so excited. I'm already thinking that this will be perfect to style with like linen pants or transitional weather. It'll be great with jeans in the fall. or, you know, over, maybe too big for a skirt, but like cute with like little loose shorts and linen pants and stuff like that. So I'm really very excited about this. Wanted to knit this sweater for a long time, so I'm glad that I'm finally doing it and pushing myself to try something new with the stripes and the different cast on method and things like that. So I think it's going to be a really, really great piece. I'm very excited. So that is actually all for my works in progress, and this video is turning out to be very long already, but I did want to talk through some of my upcoming knitting plans because I have a lot of things that I want to accomplish before I come up on my 1-year anniversary of knitting. So I want to just talk through some of those things that I'm planning to work on, and hopefully I can figure out what I'm gonna work on for the last couple of months of my first year of knitting, and I am really excited to share. So it's not an official summer knitting plans, but it is like what I'm gonna work on for the rest of the summer. Okay, so I have a couple of things that I would like to accomplish before I come up on my 1-year anniversary of knitting, and so I'm going to talk about them. So the first thing I mentioned before is knitting stripes. So not just stripes, obviously, like color work in general is something that has been at the top of my list to work on. I bought one of the first sweater patterns that I bought was actually the black sheep sweater that Princess Diana wore when she was younger. I love that sweater, and you can actually buy it from Rowing Blazers, but it's super expensive. It's like almost $300 or $200, something like that, and I just thought it would be a lot more interesting to learn to knit it myself instead of purchasing one for essentially the same price. So I bought yarn a little while ago, like back in December, I think, of last year. Like, I've had the yarn for a really long time because I wanted to knit that pattern. However, I think I got nervous and color work kind of scared me, so that is a project that I would like to work on, but I wanted to start, I guess, simple first, my first experience with color work. So I decided to start with knitting stripes first. My Marseille Sweater is my first project that I've ever knit with stripes where I had to change color. So that is my intro to color work, and it's one of the techniques I wanted to make sure I learned before I started, before I finished my first year of knitting. So I have a couple other things that I want to learn also. So also with my sweater number 18, I wanted to learn how to read a knitting chart. So that I feel like I have done very successfully. I feel super comfortable for the most part reading a knitting chart, at least a stitch chart, like a textured knit chart. I have not read a color work chart yet, though. Even though I know that it's like exactly the same, for some reason it feels a little bit intimidating still. And then I haven't read a lace chart yet, which I know again is like the same kind of thing, but for some reason my mind, I cannot wrap my brain around a lace chart, so that is something that I will talk about in a moment. But yeah, I have a lot of techniques that I want to learn, so I am picking my upcoming projects based on the techniques that I want to learn. So most of my summer knitting plans are going to be structured pieces so that I can get more comfortable reading knitting charts and trying different techniques. So the only other two things that are on my list that I definitely would like to learn to knit are cables and reading a cable chart, and then knitting lace and reading a lace chart. So I did my first swatch the other day for a pattern with cables, and I'm very excited to show you my first swatch. This is going to be the Marseille Sweater Man by Petite Knit. I am knitting this for my fiance because I wanted to make him a sweater and he wanted something that was structured, so it was basically a perfect excuse to push me out of my comfort zone and try techniques that I'm not super familiar with. And I think it worked out really nicely. So this is Santa's Garn Pure Gint, which is another yarn brand that I've worked with Santa's Garn, but I've never worked with Pure Gint. So I'm really excited to work with it on this project. It's super nice for this specific pattern, I think. And I'm really enjoying working with it. I haven't cast on yet. I just did my swatch, but so far I like it, and I'm really proud of myself for trying this out because it's, number one, a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I felt very intimidated because on her website, Petite Knit adds like a difficulty level to her patterns, and so this one is like one of the most difficult, highest level of difficulty. But now that I know how to knit, now that I know how to read a knitting chart, it's not as difficult as I thought it was going to be, and I was so surprised that basically it took me so long to I'm just surprised that it took me so long to actually start doing this. So I'm very happy with this. So I have the cable. I started working on cables. There's also some mock cables here, and then the double moss stitch on the other side. So I'm gonna cast this on soon, but this will be my first project as part of my summer knitting plans. I'm probably gonna cast it on by the end of this week, now that I've finished my Friday team. And then a couple other things that I'd like to work on, I guess, speaking of cable knitting, is I have the sweater number 15 on my list, by My Favorite Things Knitwear. So it's a fully cabled sweater, and I really like the shape of it. It's oversized, it's nice and loose, and I think it's just going to be a really great piece to have in my wardrobe, number one, and number two, it's a really great opportunity to get super familiar with cable knitting. So I'm very excited. I have the yarn picked out. I have purchased the pattern already. I just have to actually buy the yarn. So that is what I'm going to do probably in the next couple of weeks, so I can cast it on for September. And for that one, I've decided to use Biches et Bouches, the Le Petit Lamb's Wool, and the same Le Petit mohair, silk mohair, and I'm really excited. Well, I'll get into that in a second. Well, so the other thing that I want to do before I complete my first year of knitting is just test out some different yarn brands. I've purchased yarn from a lot of the same places for my previous patterns, so purchasing yarn from Hobby, from Knitting for Olive a lot of the time, and so I just think I'm at a point where I feel comfortable with my skills, and it's a good opportunity to expand and find some different yarn brands to use. So this is in conjunction with testing out new techniques. I'm also going to do my best to pick yarns that are from brands that I've never worked with before. So I'm very excited to try out the sweater number 15. After doing my Moby sweater swatch, I feel a lot more comfortable, and I think it's going to be a great piece. So the other technique that I want to learn is to knit lace and reading a lace chart. So the next pattern that I picked out is going to be the Vita sweater by Lynn Knit, which is a full lace sweater. I will add a photo maybe over here. I think it's a beautiful sweater. I really, really love it. And I've had my eye on it for a little while, and I'm so excited. So I purchased the pattern already, and it has lace charts, but for some reason I read through the pattern, but I feel like I'm having a lot of trouble understanding how to read the lace chart. So I have to do some research, I guess, on that, but other than that, I think it'll be fine. I will figure it out, but I'm definitely getting confused on it, so that's going to be something else to think about. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing I can't Google, right? So I will figure it out and learn how to read a lace chart, and I will make myself a nice lace sweater. So for that project, there's only 3 sizes, and it's based on the yarn that you use and the gauge that you got from the yarn. So I've decided to knit the second size, and the yarn that you are recommended to use is 2 strands of Filcolana Saga and 1 strand of Filcolana Tilia. So that's what I've decided on. I found Garntopia, which is based in Norway. I'm gonna order yarn from there because that seems to be the place that I found that has Filcolana in like the most stock, and they ship to the US. I'm gonna make it pretty much exactly the same as the sample, and so I've chosen to knit purchase the Saga in the color Marzipan, and then the mohair will be in the color Latte. And I think it's such a beautiful pattern, so I'm really excited to test out knitting that one and learning the new techniques that comes with knitting lace. So there'll be a lot of yarn overs, and like, I don't even know, I've never knit anything lace before, so I have no idea what's in store, but I'm excited to try it out and have a new lace sweater in my repertoire. So last but not least, for projects that I want to complete before I finish my first year of knitting, is going to be the Salty Days sweater by Kotova Kika or Veronica Lindberg, I think is her last name. But she's Kotova Kika here on YouTube. And so this project is basically a culmination of all the different techniques that I've learned over the last year. So it includes cable knitting, there's charts, there's lace, there's short rows, there's all kinds of techniques in this pattern. So I thought it would be kind of a perfect way to put everything that I've learned to the test and pile it all into one project. So I purchased the pattern, and I just have to buy the yarn now. I have it picked out, I think, for the most part, and so I'm very excited. That one I think is knit with a DK weight and a mohair, but I actually, so in my plans to test out different yarn companies, I decided not to use the recommended yarn for this one, even though they actually have like exactly what I'm looking for, but I want to make sure I'm trying out different yarn. So I decided to actually go with a fingering weight yarn from Quince & Co, and I'm going to just hold it double with the mohair in order to get the proper gauge. because I would really like to knit this sweater in like a light kind of dusty pale yellow, which the recommended yarn is Santa's Garn, and they do have a yarn in that color, but I've already used Santa's Garn Double Sunday, so I decided it would be a good idea to pick something else out, and I've decided on the one from Quince & Co. So I'm going to use the yarn Finch in the color Parchment, which is 100% wool fingering weight yarn, and it's just, yeah, that light kind of buttery pale yellow color. And I'll get matching mohair from Santa's Garn, the tin silk mohair, and I think that will be the right combination for me, and it'll be a really great way to kind of finish up my first year of knitting. So I'm very, very excited that I've gotten this far in my journey, and you know, I still have a little bit of a ways to go, but I feel very confident that I can really successfully make these more advanced projects, and that I'm well on my way to feeling like an experienced knitter, not so much a beginner knitter anymore. And yeah, I'm very excited. It feels, I know we're not there yet, but it definitely is starting to feel like a very full circle kind of journey for me right now. So yeah, I'm really excited. But yeah, that is actually the last project that I have on my knitting plans for the summer. I definitely will cast all of these on this summer. I just will probably not finish them this summer because it's already August, or almost August. In my mind, summer is July, August, and September, so I have 2 months left. And then my 1-year anniversary of starting to knit would be in October, or the beginning of October, so that's where I'm at. And obviously, in addition to that, I also will have Christmas knitting, and like I have some more baby knits that I would like to make for my niece as well. So I've got a lot of knitting plans and just not enough hands to complete them all. But yeah, that's it. So that is actually all that I have to cover today. So I think I will sign off because I actually think I've been talking for an hour, which is more than enough time. So I'm gonna sign off. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment and let me know if you enjoyed this video, or what's on your summer knitting plans, what you're gonna be gift knitting for Christmas this year, for the holidays, and what are some techniques that you're looking to learn in the next couple of months. I would love to know, or what you're working on. Just tell me everything. I'm happy to chat with you guys in the comments. So yeah, I think that's all. And please like the video, subscribe. If you want to see more videos from me, I upload like once a month. I don't have a very consistent cadence, but I definitely try to upload at least once a month. So yeah, that's all. Thank you guys so much for watching and for sticking around, and I will see you next time. Bye.